Ever wonder about what it was like to live in the past? How about the future? The next episode, Tomorrow is Yesterday, ponders that very notion. This installment has an important place in Star Trek history. It was the Enterprise's first time travel episode. Star Trek's time travel tales have everlasting appeal among the series fans. Many stories from the original series, and even 3 of the Star Trek films, the features, travel through time. And now, let's go back in time to 1967 as the crew of the Enterprise discovers that tomorrow is yesterday. Tomorrow is Yesterday was written by Gene Roddenberry's ex-secretary, turned screenwriter, Dorothy or D.C. Fontana. It was originally penned as the second installment of a 2-parter that began with The Naked Time. Fontana proved to be one of Star Trek's most prolific writers. Her other series credits include Charlie X, This Side of Paradise, Journey to Babel, Friday's Child, By Any Other Name, The Ultimate Computer, and The Enterprise Incident. Star Trek owes much of its success to her great storytelling.
When I see how many everyday references there are to Star Trek, I've come to believe that there's not anyone in this country who isn't a Star Trek fan.
Where's your transporter room? Prepare to energize.
You will hear Pentagon officials, for example, coming to Congress and saying, we need funding for this new kind of pre-lethal weapon. They say we need a weapon that's just like setting your phaser on stun.
This type of aircraft might be too fragile to take our tractor beam.
Tractor beam on, sir. We have the target.
Aircraft is breaking up, Captain.
Transporter room. Try and beam that pilot aboard.
You will find references throughout everything from drug culture to music culture that references Star Trek.
One. We are one.
So I think that even though we do have this idea of the crazed fan, the person with the Vulcan ears or the Klingon uniform, and those people go too far, still, we're all implicated in this universe.
I never have believed in little green men.
Neither have I.
Captain Christopher, this is my first officer, Lieutenant Commander Spock.
Captain?
And we all feel quite comfortable being in this universe because it's given us a conversation and a place to have a conversation about so many things that are important to us in our everyday and institutional lives.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Captain.
A woman?
Crewman.
This show talked to people through the characters. We reached out to the audience through those 3 major actors, DeForest Kelley and Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, and through the stories we were trying to tell, which are universal kinds of stories.
Suppose an unscrupulous man were to gain certain knowledge of man's future, and in so doing, change what must be. And if it is changed, Captain, you and I, and all that we know, might not even exist.
They're stories that speak to the heart. They talk about love, they talk about friendship, they talk about loyalty, they talk about patriotism, exploration, curiosity, reaching out. And I think all those things still touch people. Even when you look at a 30-year-old show, it still has something to say.
I never thought I'd make it into space. I was in line to be chosen for the space program, but I didn't qualify.
Take a good look around, Captain. You made it here ahead of all of them.
to understand that the space program began its first full steps in the 60s. And in part, we were touching on that because we were saying, hey, we can do this. We can get into space. We can look further than man has gone. We can reach out beyond our own planet and go other places. And I think that sense of forward-looking is still with this country, particularly, but I think it's still with Earth, with the human species.
I neglected in my initial run-through to correlate the possible contributions by offspring. I find, after running a cross-check on that factor, that your son, Colonel Sean Jeffrey Christopher, headed, or will head, the first successful Earth-Saturn probe, which is a rather significant...
Wait a minute, I don't have a son.
And, you know, and you look at the interest in what happened on Mir recently and what's happening with the shuttle and what's happening with the Hubble telescope. We're seeing farther. We're reaching farther. We're still trying to exceed our grasp. Your reach must always exceed your grasp. And we're still trying to do that as a race.
Must have taken quite a lot to build a ship like this.
There are only 12 like it in the fleet.
I see. Did the Navy...
We're a combined service, Captain. Our authority is the United Earth Space Probe Agency.
United Earth?
It's very difficult to explain. We're from your future.
And I think that, again, still speaks to people. We are still reaching out, looking for other signs of life in the universe, other beings, maybe not like ourselves, but someone else out there. We're not alone. And I just really think that that speaks to people in their hearts.
Captain, thanks for the look ahead.
Our pleasure, Captain. Bridge out. Prepare to energize.
The task at hand was to return Captain Christopher to the 1960s without changing history. No small feat. How can one do this and not alter historical events? Thankfully, when issues of the time travel occur, the crew of the Enterprise usually manages to put things right. The slingshot effect, described in this episode, was the basis of our time travel adventures in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home.